welcome to A Better Planet. A better you, a better planet. I'm your host, April Rogers-Peterson, and this is a channel that teaches the next generation of progressive leaders better finance, better health, and better relationships. Today I'm joined by some incredible guests, and we are talking about finances. We're playing the game of life. And we're going to hear from them, their stories, their experiences with finances. I think we can all agree that most people are not winning at the game of life, at least not financially. And I believe that it's because they don't understand the rules of the game. So I'd like to welcome our guests. First, we have Renee Singer, who is originally from Idaho. She is 29 years old. She is a straight single mommy of a little girl, almost 8 years old, but does not consider herself religious or political. She studied general studies and has worked in both the marketing and the hotel industry. Welcome. Next we have Scott Swan, who's originally from Idaho. He's 42 years old, straight, married for the last 13 years to his awesome wife. 2 sons, 9 and 11, considers himself a Christian, not political currently, loves running and competitive sports, and got a bachelor's degree in communications, PR, and advertising, and has owned his own real estate team for the last 15 years, Scott Swan Real Estate. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And then last but not least, we have Clark Camenga. He's originally from California, 53, straight, married for the last 26 years, and has 1 grown son in college. He is an atheist and votes Democrat. He loves fishing and all kinds of sports. He got 2 associate's degrees, 1 in air traffic control and 1 in commercial flight. And he has been self-employed as a handyman for the last 10 years. Welcome, Clark. Appreciate you guys being here. How the game of life works. You might have played the online version, but we're going old school today. We actually have the board game that we've been playing. And in this particular game, you start out with a very realistic number, a trust fund of $200,000. That's how much was in your guys' envelopes, I'm sure. That was in mine. The choice to either go the career path, which Renee and I chose to come right out of high school and get a job, and Clark and Scott chose to go to college. And so they had to take $100,000 of their $200,000 trust fund and lay that down to the university of their choice. Because this is crazy. This game has actually been around for over 130 years. And it's changed. Every decade they update the version. So for example, like in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, the whole goal is to have a happy financial retirement. But in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you had 2 options. If you didn't play well, you ended up in what they called the poorhouse, or you ended up bankrupt, or you ended up rich. What's so weird as you look at our version is that you either end up rich or richer, which is exactly how life works. Play your cards right, and it's all gonna work out. You choose a career. So for example, Renee and I chose race car driver and singer. And the salary for those are $60,000 and $70,000. These guys decided to go to college and became a
vet.
And
a scientist.
And a scientist. I could see that. I could see you in a white lab coat, right? I could see you going like this at some point with bottles and yeah. But what's so interesting is that these guys spun, I don't know, maybe 10 plus times before they ever got a payday. And if you notice the board, if you start out on the career path, you start getting paid right away. So on the board, it's the second space where you get your first payday. If you go to college, however, it's 17 spaces before you ever land on a payday, which I think is really indicative of real life. I was making more as a bartender, putting myself through college, than once I got that piece of paper. Do you feel like the degrees that you guys got are specifically helping you today financially? No. Okay. No. Yes.
Mine is, yes. I mean, it's, Carrie and I were in the same program, and with that, advertising and public relations and my real estate business, it definitely has helped.
those pieces of paper sure look great on the wall. But as for for what I'm doing now, they have no applicability at all.
When you guys think about the textbooks, right, and the hundreds of dollars that you paid for those, could you have found that same information today online?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
next question. Did life get more expensive as you got older, as you had children, as you maybe bought a house, moved into the neighborhood you wanted to live in, took vacations, and did you ever find yourself running out of money before you ran out of money? Dude. I'll start.
Go ahead.
Never to the point of running out of money before a month, but there have been some times that it was fairly tight, and it does. I think as you're going through life, it gets more expensive for a while, and then depending on your circumstances, it can reduce in expenses or it can continue climbing. Health is a huge factor in that.
'Cause
Sure.
I don't think young people really realize that, right? They come out, they're strong, they're healthy,
You're
they can eat
invincible.
ramen every day and still feel like $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens as time goes on?
As time goes by, you get older, things start breaking down. You're not as energetic as you used to be. You can't do all of the things that you used to do when you're younger. Of course, that hasn't happened to me yet.
No.
I mean, the economy being cyclical, and if you're coming into your career in an upward trend where the market is doing well, the stock market's doing well, housing is doing well, don't base your goals on this 2-year snapshot.
I think there's a common belief out there that if you go to college, that you're going to be making more money. And I'd really like to look at the hard numbers because everyone has an opinion, right? Whether it's your grandparents or your sister or even yourself about whether or not you should go to college. My encouragement for everyone who's watching this is ask yourself this question. Are the people who are maybe strongly urging you to go to school actually going to pick up the bill with no strings attached? Think critically, think for yourself. Let's look at how much it actually costs to play the game of life, because I think the wisest decisions begin with the end in mind. So I'm kind of a research girl, and these are updated numbers. And if you can kind of zoom in on this, I'm going to walk you through a real budget. Okay, so let's see here. What were your guys' professions again?
I'm a vet.
So Scott's a vet and Clark is a
Scientist.
and you're making, what's
100
your
grand.
salary? Okay, you guys are both 6-figure income earners, which by the way, only 10% of our nation will ever make more than 100 grand. So let's say Scott and Clark come out of university. They have a 4-year degree. On average, your first job is going to pay you $50,000 a year. That is today's starting wage, which that's gross. Net means you're bringing home about $3,400 a month. Now, the average student is coming out of college with $37,000 of student loan debt. Now, Scott, I won't ask you what you came out with, but I came out with $50,000, and their monthly payment is going to be $300. The average college graduate also comes out with $2,500 of credit card debt. And then, of course, you've got to get a car. In 1980, guys, a Toyota Corolla cost $4,000. Today, that same car is 17 grand. What does that mean? It means that we used to pay cash for these liabilities. What's a liability, Scott?
Anything that depreciates.
Yeah, people say, I'm gonna invest in a car. What? Do you understand what that means? If you buy a new car and you drive it off the lot, it's like throwing $100 bills out your window. So you get your $17,000 Corolla, but it's not cool, so you gotta throw some tint on there. That's down here under gas repairs, maintenance, and upgrades. But if you're buying the average car, your car payment is $300 a month. Now, Scott is a realtor, so I checked these numbers. So at $199,000, which is the median home price as of 2 years ago, that same home, by the way, was $47,000 in 1980. Then you've got utilities, because you're not sharing an apartment with your 3 buddies anymore. You're paying for all the power. So $300 in utilities, $100 phone bill, car insurance, especially if you're buying new, you've got to buy full coverage insurance, gas repairs, maintenance, and upgrades. Groceries, this would be if you eat ramen, not if you're, going for organic salmon. You've got your toiletries, your clothes. Oh no, I'm not going to buy new clothes. Oh yes, you are. You make $50,000 a year in your job. You're wearing collared shirts, friend. Travel. Well, I'm not going to travel. So you should just throw away your Pinterest account right now, right? Because this is your life. Gifts. You're like, oh, I'm not going to buy gifts for anybody. You're not going to buy your mother a Christmas gift or your significant other. What's so funny to me is December rolls around and people are surprised that Christmas is here. Like, oh, shoot, I didn't save up any money to buy anyone gifts. And so what happens? They all go on the
credit card.
So eating out, entertainment habits like smoking, drinking, partying, those are all expensive. Well, not medical insurance. April, my employer covers that. Okay, great, but what if they don't, right? And then savings. Now, $100 a month is not a good savings plan. It's not a good retirement plan, but let's just say we're just getting started and we're just getting into good habits. For those of you who are math people, let's just add up our lower middle class income. And how much money do you think we're left over with to just do whatever we want with? We are in the red, 1,200 doll hairs. Most people, their financial bathtub solution is to plug up the drain. I'm just gonna send an email to all my friends and tell them I'm never going out ever again. Okay, yep, we could do that. How about instead of doing that, why don't we turn on the financial faucet? Guys, your college degree is leaving you in the red. So how do we make more money? So next question for you guys. This is brainstorm time. Well, let's say that someone doesn't want to go into $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of student loan debt. Let's say they want to, right out of high school, go into a job path, a career path. And the goal is to make more than $50,000 a year because we obviously can see that budget doesn't work. And that's just one person. You haven't even gotten married yet. What would be some jobs that people could pursue, careers, occupations that people could pursue that would pay more than $50,000 a year without needing a degree?
Most things in sales.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
Inside of sales, if done well and done professionally and done looking out for the consumer, you can build a phenomenal business. Finding that niche that fits your style.
In sales, you can make 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, some people even 7 figures, right? Everyone knows that. It's no secret. Why do you think there's a hesitation to go into sales? Why is it safer to do the 4, 5, 6 year degree and get a regular 9-to-5 that quite frankly doesn't even pay the bills?
Because it's scary. I'll never forget you teaching me how to grill a market. I was newer to Boise and I needed like another job because I was already working for April. And she was the marketing director for this chiropractic office and they weren't hiring, but I needed them to hire me. And so April, I met her for lunch and she's like, okay, I'm gonna teach you how to grill a market. And we went in this complex, just kind of bebopped around. It was one of the scariest things I've ever done. And she taught me about asking for forgiveness sometimes instead of permission when it comes to approaching people. But getting over that hurdle, I brought 30 patients a week to this doctor until he had no option to hire me. But it's hard and it's scary and it's uncomfortable unless you have somebody that's like, no, you're fine. It's fine. No, they're just security people. It's fine. Just don't look. The sign just says no soliciting. You have to be able to get uncomfortable, and I think you can either be comfortable or courageous, but you definitely can't be both.
How about for you guys? What do you think is the scary part? I mean, Clark, you've worked for yourself for over a decade. Scott, you too. And like you said, it took some time. I'm sure that a lot of your businesses offer referrals, like most salespeople. But think back to when you were first getting going, the uncomfortable feelings and judgment.
One of my early jobs, I tried car sales, and I thought, hey, this would be great. I like cars. People buy cars. There's lots of money to be made.
Sure.
And talking to the sales manager, they paint a nice rosy picture of if you sell this car, you'll make this much money. The very first car I sold was a stripped down, it was brand new, but it was a Subaru two-door hatchback that had no carpet, no air conditioning, roll down windows. I mean, just bare bones car. It had 4 wheels and an engine and a steering wheel, and that's pretty much it, and a shell, and that's pretty much it. The gentleman that bought it had bought cars at that dealership for each of his children. This was the 5th or 6th car he had bought there. And his son, who was, I think he was like 40 at the time, he was buying him this car. He gets him the stripped down Subaru hatchback, and the sales manager comes out and says, yeah, here's your commission on it. I made $35 on that car. Wow, what happened to all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you can make in this career? By the end of the month, I made Salesman of the Month. My first month in, I sold several that I made $500 and $600 commission on right off the bat. And it's like, oh, now I understand and now I like it.
I know if I put enough people's needs ahead of my own and help them get what they want, that I will be taken care of.
And do you guys think that there's that sort of taking advantage of people mentality in handiwork or real estate or the hotel industry?
I think in all aspects, there's, and it's hard, like you were saying, because you have to fight those stigmas every day. You have to be strategic and either have enough willpower to say, screw it, I'm going to prove you wrong, or work the numbers right, because it's all a numbers game.
For those of you who are watching, if you're not wanting to pursue sales, here are some other options that pay over $50,000 a year that you do not need a degree for. Mail delivery person, correctional officer, boiler maker, construction supervisor, lineman, police officer, and train conductor. And all of these professions have on-the-job training that doesn't require 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years of your life and $50,000. So here's my call to action for you guys. Number 1, I want to encourage you to do a loan calculator. Go online and find out, when are you going to make your last student loan payment? I want you to really dig deep and ask yourself, if you're going to college or if you're in college, are you doing it for yourself? Or are you doing it to please other people? Are you jumping through hoops for someone else? Or are you doing this because this is really what you want to do? And is it worth it financially? And then lastly, if you have a friend or a family member that is struggling with the decision whether or not to go to college or go into the career world, send them this video and subscribe. Please give us your opinions on how we can get better. And remember, a better you, a better planet.